Good morning from Orléans. This is the cathedral. It's just gone 12 o'clock. This morning left the campsite. Campsite was a tenner. Went to the McDonald's to charge my stuff. And yeah, now we're here. Gonna walk around the city. See what it's all about. That's quite an impressive cathedral. And I can confirm very much intact. There's the roof there. No smell of smoke or anything. Looking good. Look, the roof isn't perfectly straight. It's a bit crooked. That's a cathedral and a half, and lots of herself around. Joan of Arc. Yeah. When I think of Orléans, that's the connection that springs most readily to mind is, of course, Joan of Arc, Jeanne d'Arc. And she is quite an interesting figure. I'm sure you know the story, but let me just hop on the bike, we go find her, and I'll fill you in case you're not quite up to scratch on all the details. So yeah, way back when I was but a wee lad, around the 1420s, France had been at war, or in a state of prolonged conflict, with England for nearly 100 years by this point, and it wasn't doing so well. Paris was held by the English, most of northern France was, as was Bordeaux, and on the east there was the Burgundian faction, who were French but allied with the English. So the French, shall we call them, led by the disinherited Dauphin Charles, I forget which one. Yeah, things weren't going so well for poor old France. But there was a rumour going round, a prophecy if you were, about how one day France would be saved by a young maiden riding a horse in a suit of armour, who would come to deliver France from the English and all those who oppose her. And lo and behold, what you have it, one day a woman turns up claiming that she's been having these visions and that she's the so-called maiden mentioned in the prophecy from Lorraine in the northeast of France. We turn left here. Anyway, she badgers the nobles to take her to meet the Dauphin, and eventually they give up and they just take this 17-year-old girl. We should have gone that way, I think. They take this 17-year-old girl to see the Dauphin, and she tells him how she's been having these dreams, how she has to deliver France and restore the Dauphin to his rightful crown. And the Dauphin has nothing to lose here. And here we have the first interesting thing to consider when we have these stories and stories about religious or divinely inspired motives in general. It's not like everyone just stood up and clapped and believed her. No, like the Dauphin, before he was going to commit to anything, he actually had her tested. He sent her to Poitiers, to a council of the church of theologians, to, find out, was she telling the truth? Was she actually touched by God, as it were? And okay, she went to Poitiers and they, picked her brains, I suppose. Which way do we go here? Straight. And they decided that she was a good woman and a good Catholic and she must be telling the truth. Fair enough. Now that that's out of the way, we've got to make sure she is telling the truth about her virginity, because that's a big thing. A maid, obviously, meaning an untouched young woman. So they had that tested too. And turns out, yes, okay, she's telling the truth, she's a virgin. So the Dauphin was like, okay, well, I've got nothing to lose. You can only do some good, considering rumour of this so-called prophecy had spread. And he sent Joan to Orléans, which was under siege by the English at the time. And he sent her with a relief force of a couple hundred soldiers. And she makes it into Orléans. She rides into the city, and together they throw off the siege. A big success. The news travels fast. France is reinvigorated, and the troops love her. And okay, yeah, the generals accept her. She's not exactly a tactician, she's not a general or anything, but she's at the front lines, she's in the thick of the battle with her white banner. We can't turn left here. Nope, that van has made sure of that. With her white banner, with her white banner inspiring the troops. And this goes on for the better part of 2 years. France sees significant gains with Joan of Arc leading the vanguard, as it were. However, all good things the Lord giveth and all that. Soon she starts to experience some setbacks, and support in the court for John starts to dwindle. We've got to go right here. And soon enough, she gets captured by the Burgundians, who hand her over to the English. And that is the end of Joan of Arc. She is burnt at the stake. We might actually take this story up in a day or two when we get... Oh, that's glass. When we get to Rouen, where she was burnt. But it didn't matter. She had done her job. Charles the Dauphin was crowned king, and eventually France won the 100 Years' War. Well, won. They got what they wanted, which was their country. And any English claimants to the throne were silenced. But Jeanne d'Arc remains a significant figure in French history and in French identity. She is the patron saint of France, after all, for goodness sake. And you could see there in the cathedral carvings of her, paintings of her, stained glass depictions of her, often in alongside memorials to the First and Second World Wars. So the liberator and the protector of France, Joan of Arc. And yeah, but she is interesting because she was a peasant girl who came from nowhere. Whether these visions were real or not, there's plenty of speculation as to all the different mental curiosities or issues that might explain these visions that she claimed to have, or she might have been lying, or she was telling the truth as she saw that to be. Doesn't really matter, because the people around her believed her, and that belief was really all it took to get the French back up on their feet, as it were. Now, of course, there are some caveats to the victories that the French won whilst inspired and accompanied by Joan of Arc, but let's not go into that, and I can't really, because I'm not too well versed in this area. But yeah, the Maid of Orléans, Joan of Arc. She's not from here, she didn't die here, but because she lifted the siege, which was really a turning point for the French, she is very much associated with this city. Oh, that'll be her all right there now. There she is, on top of her horse. Right, that's that. Let's get a coffee. So, we seem to have run out of Orléans. Oh well. May as well just get on the road, head towards Paris and get coffee along the way. I'm sure there'll be a place to stop. Cafes, kind of like maidens in shining armour, have a way of appearing when you need them most. There's the gendarmerie. The road to Paris. Move over, phone. Yeah. It's going to be like this all the way. I'd say pretty heavy traffic. About 120 kilometers. So, won't be much of a ride. But sure, look at. Bonjour. So I'm in a town called Étampes, which is 50 kilometers south of Paris, and I'm not sure what to do. I've sort of got ahead of myself. I planned to have a whole day riding today, but I cut it all out somehow over the last 4 days of riding. So yeah, like 120 kilometers is all I had to ride today. Whoops. But so yeah, I could have either gone a day later or rode slower all the time. Anyway, we're here now. The reason why I'm going to Paris is because one of my closest friends lives there, so I'm going to see her, and that's the only reason. I'm not going to go into Paris city itself because there's too much hassle driving into Paris. I'm not going to do that, even for you, sorry. So, I don't know, I've got a few hours to do nothing. I checked this town on Wikipedia, there's nothing to do here, and not much around. Apparently there's a 12th century tower on top of the hill over there, and the view is nice. That's the highlight of the town. May as well do that. Oh, that was worth it. Definitely. Look at that. How cool. And you can clearly go up it when it's open. They've got metal stairs in there and a door. Very impressive. Very nice. It's really nice and peaceful here. And there's a cool breeze going through the trees. Could fall asleep here, and it seems to be the thing to do. Come up here and have a snooze. Some guys fast asleep over there, so I'm talking very quietly. Anyway, I think I'm going to spin into Paris now, and yeah, I'll see you there. There's not going to be much to see. The road into Paris is the road going into a big city, like every other big city. Not fun, hot, and frustrating. But anyway, I'm sure we'll make it. I hope we make it. If we do, you'll see me in about 2 seconds in Paris. Bye. Made it. In fact, in the past 2 seconds, an entire 24 hours has gone by. It's now Tuesday. It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Probably yes.
It's Tuesday afternoon, and I'm just going to pack up the bike and finally start heading west at last. So, let's hit the road. Alrighty, so GPS is telling me it's going to take over an hour to do the 30 kilometers to get around Paris. We'll see how much we can shave off that, and we're going to drive at least as far as Rouen. Depending on our time, might even go as far as the coast, but if we go past Rouen we can pop in and conclude our Jeanne d'Arc story, which might be a good idea. Either way, that's not going to matter if we don't get around Paris safely. It's 20 to 3 right now, so hopefully we'll be out just ahead of the rush hour traffic. Hopefully. Let's go! today because it's already the afternoon and I want to make it towards or near the coast by this evening. So the only way I'm going to do that is if I bite the bullet and do a toll. Oh, I have to pay here. I thought it was a take a ticket thing. $6.40. But I am not a car. But I'm not bothered. Really. I think I'm a car. This is what always happens. Well, not always, but often happens with these tolls is that it doesn't register a bike properly. And then you've got to ring the bell and go through the whole hassle and explain that you're not actually a car because you're down 50% of it. Late for motorbikes. I've never seen that before. Oh, how cool is that? 180, that's more like it. This one must be set so that it only charges 180 for motorbikes. I approve. Okay, this is a good compromise. Not too bad at all. Not too bad. That seems like a fair payment. I accidentally turned off the motorway. Accidentally. We're back on the regional roads. We're gonna fill her up a little bit because it's 182. That's not the road. Running out of money. Gotta be careful. Priority has to be fuel. Has to be fuel, food, then a place to stay. In that order. Because at least that way I'll go. But that's her full now, 15 litres. 26 euro. That might actually, if we take it easy, that might actually get us all the way onto the boat. You're welcome. In Cherbourg. Because it's not that far. It's not that far. Right. We're on. Let's go. Now, let's just pull in and try and find out where exactly we need to go. It is hot. And there are so many bikes around. So many. There might be some sort of thing going on. Like it's Tuesday. They can't all be on holiday. Unreal amount of bikes. Anyway, let's pull in here and try and decide where we're going. I don't want to get off the bike because it's so hot. Walking around is just going to be... No. Not happening today. So, Ron, where did we leave off with poor old Joan? Joan was starting to suffer some defeats, some setbacks. Hey, Guinness! And support in Charles's court was starting to waver for her. And eventually she was captured in one of these setbacks. She was captured by the Burgundians, French, but allied to the English. And the Burgundians handed her over to the English. The English, of course, knew all about Joan. They had heard and had seen the effect that this ironclad young maiden, riding a white horse, leading the battle lines, had on French morale and French vigour. And the correlation between that and the newfound French success. So they were all too happy to get their hands on poor old Joan. And when they did, her fate was pretty much sealed from the start. She was handed over to an ecclesiastical order, an ecclesiastical council, a trial, a court, as it were. But of course it wasn't a real trial. There was nothing official or legitimate about it. There was so many irregularities, and they eventually found her guilty of heresy. And of course, you know what happens to heretics in the 1420s. It wasn't so hot. What happened? Right, let's drive there. Let's see some sights of Rouen before we wrap up poor old Joan. So many bikes. Anyway, poor old Joan, yeah. The trial was a foregone conclusion. They found her guilty of heresy for not renouncing her visions and for wearing men's clothes, which was a big no-no. They handed her over to the public court, the English public court, for execution, to be burnt at the stake in the marketplace. Of course, if there was any need to prove that she fervently believed in what she was experiencing, these visions, I suppose it is that unwillingness to renounce them that should signify that she certainly believed what she was experiencing were divine visions, because you have to be absolutely convinced in your rightfulness and justness, and ready to martyr yourself, ready to die for the cause, as it were. Because she had the choice. All she had to do was stop saying that she kept receiving these visions and to just put on a damn dress, woman. That's what they wanted. They couldn't hack her dressing like a man and cropping her hair short. When she was brought to the stake, she was given the last rites despite being a heretic. And she was given a crucifix to hold, apparently tied, two twigs tied together by some poor English soldier who obviously felt sorry for her. And she was burnt here in the old marketplace of Rouen. And her remains are thrown in the Seine. And that's the story of poor old Joan. And what a way to go. It's a difficult thing, you know, with these historical figures. Are we still recording? Yes, we are. Nice. To sort of identify the real person with the name we hear so much about, the name we learn about in schools, who lived, according to us, so long ago. But in the case of Joan and all of these people, you have to remember that they thought and felt as we do today. And they suffered. And my God, did they suffer. Poor old Joan, being burnt at the stake. No, she probably was a fanatic. Every indication would suggest that she was an absolute religious zealot, even for her time. And she was probably used by the Dauphin Charles. Whether or not he believed in what she was saying, who knows. And she died aged 19 after suffering terribly. Of course, it didn't help executing Joan, because making a martyr is not going to win your wars for you. A mistake the English were still making 500 years later in my country. But after Joan's execution, of course, she wasn't able to lead from the front lines anymore, but arguably her power and her influence was even more widespread, giving every young French person an instilled determination and thirst for evicting the English from their land in their just cause to avenge Joan. God was on their side, apparently, and all that. So, at the end of the day, we have the untimely death of a 19-year-old woman who, yeah, okay, she was probably a fanatic, as I said, but she did suffer. Right, let's get out of this city because it's getting hot.
I saw her wince, I saw her cry, I saw the glory in her eye. Myself, I long for love and light, but must it come so cruel and oh so bright?
Well, that was a more stressful evening than I anticipated it being. The traffic around Rouen made
it took a while to get around, so by the time I just got out of the city I realised it was getting towards 6 o'clock, and of course with campsites here closing at 7, I was like, oh shit, we better find somewhere to stay fast. So I found a municipal camping, which is, they're not the fancy ones, they're just the standard, basic, cheap ones that are fantastic. I love them because they're cheap and they just have what you need: hot showers, restrooms, and security. So I was like, oh great, there's a municipal camping, it's 30 kilometers away. It's by the river, lovely, let's go to it. Rode to it. By the time I arrived, it was just getting towards 7. 150 euro. Because of those boats that we saw over the bridge. Apparently that's a week-long festival that's going on, and it's a big tourist thing, so it's driven up the prices everywhere. 150 euro for a 3-meter square patch of grass. No. So I did another quick look on Google Maps. I found one that was nearby, drove to that, took one look at it, and saw that it was the same thing. It was like a pop-up campsite for the festival. Not going to do me. Luckily then, I found this place, which actually stays open until 8, which is rare and fantastic, thank goodness. Otherwise, I was going to be stuck for a place to stay. Anyway, I'm here now, everything's good, the tent's set up. Just going to eat nothing fancy tonight, just a sandwich tonight. But I'm quite tired, so I think I'll have a good night's sleep. Anyway, I better end the video here because I suspect this is drawn on for quite some time, this one, what with being over 2 days and such. So yeah, thanks very much for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you saw some nice things and maybe learned something. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow will be nice. Tomorrow will be very nice. I'm in Normandy now, this region of France, and I really like it here. I really like Normandy. And we'll do some interesting things tomorrow. We'll see some rather special places tomorrow. Right, please do tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.